All right, boys and girls, today we're going to be starting section 4.2, trigonometric functions and the unit circle. And to be honest, in order for you to do today's lesson, you're going to need three things. You're going to need a unit circle, and I'm actually going to show you how to make one and memorize it, okay? And I think I'm going to link a video that's kind of helpful if you want to know more in detail about it, okay? And you also need, I got some index cards, and you might want to have them handy so that you can refer to them. You need two things. There was two information, two blocks of information that you need. And the first one was the definition of trig functions, and you can find that on page 266, okay? And it just, I literally copy that table or that diagram. And then the other one is the even and trig functions, and you can find that on page 269, okay? So honestly, having these next to me helped me do many of the problems, okay? So we're going to start with the unit circle. Okay, so in order for us to do the unit circle, I'm literally using a pencil and a pen and a bowl. Find whatever bowl you can that's easy to make a circle, or anything around the house that is easy to make a circle, okay? And I need a blank piece of paper, and it was hard to find one at home, but I figured this will do, and I would just use the back side, and I don't need the entire long length, so I'm just going to cut it in half, okay? So this is what you need. So I'm going to try to keep it simple, and I'm going to go with what I have at home, okay? So here we go. I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to find the center of the paper. So what I want you guys to do is fold it in half, okay? I don't care, hamburger style, hot dog style, doesn't matter, because you're going to fold it twice. So once you fold it once, you're going to fold it again, okay? And it's not going to be perfect, guys, because we're not working with tools. So if you happen to have a compass, a protractor, a ruler, those are all perfect. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So this is it. So basically what I did is I just found my center, okay? And trust me when I tell you, this will do, okay? Then I'm going to take my bowl, and then I'm going to place it in the middle, and I'm going to try to get it as close to the middle as possible, and it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So imagine the center is matched up with my dot, okay? And then we're going to draw a circle. So let's do that. Okay, so this is what I did. Again, it's not perfect, but it will do, okay? So get it as close to perfect. Obviously, we don't want this shifted all the way down and then your center be that high. So again, as close as you can, okay? So here we go. So we're going to use these creases as our axes. So let's draw lines going across, okay? If you feel like you have a steady hand, just draw them. If you feel like you need a straight edge, then grab a straight edge, okay? Okay. Notice I drew my lines longer than the circle, and this is just to remind you that this is supposed to be a unit circle. So remember that we're using x squared plus y squared equals 1. So at this point right here, we have 1, 0. That's our point here. Okay, at this point, we have 0, 1. Okay, at this point, we have negative 1, 0. This will make sense in a minute, okay? And then down here, we have 0, negative 1. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna mark up our circle with our radians. And remember, we learned from the previous lesson that this is the 0 mark. This is pi over 2. This is pi. This is 3 pi over 2. And of course, an entire revolution is 2 pi. Okay, so I labeled my points, and now I labeled my points with the radians as well. Okay. All right, so now what I want you guys to do is go ahead and fold it up again to how it was. Okay, so fold it, and now we're going to fold it an additional time, but we're going to fold it kind of at an angle, overlapping. So again, you're going to do the best that you can. So overlap it this way so that eventually you have like a triangle. Okay. So when you open it up, you have to imagine you just divided your circle into 8 equal parts. Okay. 8 equal parts. And then I'm going to ask you guys to do the same thing. If you feel like you have a steady hand, then draw your lines. Okay. As best as you can. And they all have to meet at the center. Okay. Okay. Best as you can. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So, in here, you basically have this line, and we're going to mark it as a radian. So this is half of a half. So what's half of a half? That's pi over 4. Okay. Now they're all equal parts, so you have to think this much. Okay, so now this is where I use my pencil. And now this is just to kind of demonstrate what the angles are, okay? Because a lot of you were having trouble before figuring out where your radians were at. So this is pi over 4. Pi over 2, it's the same thing as 2 pi over 4, but it reduces to pi over 2, okay? So what follows next is 3 pi over 2. And I'm going to write that in pen because I'm sorry. I said 3 pi over 2, but I meant 3 pi over 4. So I'm going to write that in pen because I know I don't have to simplify that. So ready? Pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. And then what comes next, and I'm going to use pencil just to show you, is 4 pi over 4. Okay? But 4 pi over 4 reduces to pi. What comes next? 5 pi over 4. And 5 pi over 4 can't reduce, so I'm going to write that in pen. Okay? And then what comes after 5 pi over 4? 6 pi over 4. And I'm writing that in pencil. And 6 pi over 4 is the same as 3 pi over 2. What comes after 6 pi over 4? 7 pi over 4. And now I'm going to write that in pen because you can't reduce it. Okay? After 7 pi over 4, it's 8 pi over 4. And what's 8 pi over 4? 2 pi. Okay? Do you see that? So I have 8 equal pieces. Okay? Okay, here we go. Ready? Now we're going to fold it one more time. So go back. Go back. You're basically folding all the creases that you already have. So fold it to all the creases. Okay, so now we're going to fold it one more time, and we're going to fold it again, overlapping. So, and see over here, it's really supposed to be like a perfect point, but it's not. So just get as close to it as possible. So overlap it. And I'm kind of improvising with not having tools, okay? Okay. Open it up again. Okay. And again, even if you see like, oh, it goes here, make sure it goes to the center and just make sure it ends there. So as best as you can, draw your lines. Start at the center. I don't care if it overlapped here. I'm going to start at the center and just make sure it ends there. Okay. Draw all your lines. Oops. Again, it's not even perfect, but I'm getting there. See? They all have to meet at the center. Okay? All right, so this is what it looks like, guys. Okay? All right, here we go. Now, remember I said what's half of a half? And we said that was pi over 4. If you're looking at it in degree-wise, remember half of a half, this entire grid right here, that's 90 degrees. So half of a half, this is 45 degrees. Okay? Now I've basically made even smaller angles, smaller degrees. Now the degree that I created was 30. And the degree that's here is 60. And the degree that's here is 90. Okay? And I can keep going. And I should be going all the way to 360. Okay? So the difference between these degrees is 15. but the difference between this degree and this degree is 30, and the difference between this degree and this degree is 30. So you have to imagine these are like 1/3, okay? They may not look like it, but they're supposed to be. So the difference between here is 1/3. Again, we're not going like visually because I didn't use tools. We're just going with the degrees that I've made, okay? All right, so here we go. Okay, so here we go. The first radian that I'm going to have here is pi over 6, and I'm going to write it in pen because that's it, okay? So now we're going to fill in all the other ones, okay? Remember, we're going by thirds, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So if we start with pi over 6, this is the same as saying 1 pi over 6. So what comes next? 2 pi over 6. Notice I'm writing it in pencil because if I simplify this, 2 pi over 6 is the same as pi over 3, okay? And again, I'm just showing you these in pencil just so you know that they're the same. Just simplify. You always want to simplify your fractions, okay? So, okay, you want to ignore this one, okay? 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, remember, it just simplifies to this. And the next one, ignore this, would be 3 pi over 6, okay? But you guys, we already have a radian there. But just so you know, 3 pi over 6 is the same as pi over 2, okay? And we want to go to the next one. What's after 3 pi over 6? 4 pi over 6, okay? But what is 4 pi over 6 reduced to? And that is 2 pi over 3, okay? Remember, we're keeping all the ones that are in black pen, okay? What's after 4 pi over 6? 5 pi over 6. Still in black pen because I can't reduce this. What's after 5 pi over 6? Ignore that. 6 pi over 6. And 6 pi over 6 reduces to just pi. What's after 6 pi over 6? 7 pi over 6. Okay? Ignore that. Then what comes after 7 pi over 6? 8 pi over 6. Okay? But what is 8 pi over 6 reduced to? And that's 4 pi over 3. Okay? What comes after 8 pi over 6? Ignore that. 9 pi over 6. But what is 9 pi over 6 reduced to? 3 pi over 2. Okay? What comes after 9 pi over 6? 10 pi over 6. You can kind of foresee what's going to happen, and you'll know whether to use pen or pencil because in my head I know 10 pi over 6 I can reduce. So 10 pi over 6 is the same as 5 pi over 3. Okay? What comes after 10 pi over 6? 11 pi over 6. Okay? What comes after 11 pi over 6? 12 pi. I'm going to ignore that. 12 pi over 6, which is 2 pi. Okay? All right. Again, everything in pencil is just a way to show you how to get your next numbers, okay? I don't memorize nothing, okay? This is just to show you how to get your radians. And hopefully you understood that, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and clean it up with a eraser, okay? So I'm going to take all the pencil marks off. All right, boys and girls. Now I'm going to show you how to mark up your unit circle with the points. Notice we had already started with these, and let me just box them. Okay. So we have all the radians, but now we need to add points. Okay. So notice I cleaned it up a bit. Okay. So here we go. They all need to have points. Okay. And honestly, I'm going to give you the biggest shortcut. Concentrate on the first grid. Everything else will come natural, okay? So I'm going to zoom in just on the first quadrant, okay? First quadrant. Then all of them will come natural. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to use pencil just in case I mess up, okay? But they're all going to be permanent values, okay? So they're all going to be fractions, and they're all going to be over 2. So you could just do that. They're all over 2, okay? And here's kind of another hint. We're going to be working with square root of 1, square root of 2, and square root of 3, okay? But let's not forget that square root of 1 simplifies to 1, okay? So then we're going to be using 1, square root of 2, and square root of 3. But remember, square root of 1 is 1, okay? So just remember that when you like, what happened to the square root of 1? These are the same equivalent, okay? All right, here we go. You guys know that the further you go to the right, your numbers increase. The further you move up, your numbers increase. So let's start with the x values. Remember, the further I move, the larger my numbers get. So see this x right here? That's going to be here on the number line. So out of these three, the smallest is square root of 1, which is just 1. Then this one would be next. So that's square root of 2. And then this point would be next, which is square root of 3. Okay? Remember, the further you go to the right, they're going to get bigger. So this is 1, square root of 2, square root of 3. Okay? Now we're going to do the y's. You guys know that the further you move up, then your numbers get bigger. Okay? So this y right here is the smallest. So that's going to be my 1. Then this is my bigger y. So that's going to be square root of 2. And then this one's my biggest. See, it goes the furthest up. So that one's square root of 3. Okay? And these are your values. That's it. So just concentrate on the first quadrant and the rest will come natural. So now I'm going to show you how to fill out the rest, okay? Okay, I covered the bottom half of my unit circles so not to confuse you, but let's start filling out quadrant 2, okay? I'm still using pencil just so I don't make a mistake, okay? But you can use pen because these are all permanent values. Okay, does everybody agree that these values here are just going to be a mirror image of these? So the only difference is in quadrant 2, your x value should be negative and your y value should be positive. So this would just be a mirror image. So ready? 2 pi over 3 is the exact same as 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. Oops. Except it has to be negative. See, I always make silly mistakes. So I'm just going to fix that because it looks kind of funny. Okay. 3 pi over 4 is a mirror image of pi over 4. So my answer should be negative 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2. Okay. Exact same points, just your x is negative. All right, ready? One more time. 5 pi over 6 should be negative square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. And that's it. And that's quadrant 2. All right, ready for the next one? So I'm just going to cover quadrant 4. In quadrant 3, these are mirror images. The only difference is that, remember, now your x would be negative and your y would be negative. This is the quadrant where they're both negatives. Okay? Okay, so 7 pi over 6 is a mirror image of 5 pi over 6. So I'm literally going to copy that, except both values are going to be negative. Okay? Hopefully you're seeing the pattern. 5 pi over 5 pi over 4 is the same as 3 pi over 4, except again, they're both negative. Okay, keep it going. 4 pi over 3 is the same as 2 pi over 3, so negative 1/2 and negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and of course, we already have 3 pi over 2 written. Okay. Okay, and then the last quadrant, quadrant 4, remember this is where your x's are positive and your y's are negative. Oops. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You can actually use quadrant 1 and go down, or this quadrant and just overlap. Okay, so here we go. So 5 pi over 3 is the same as 5 pi over 3 is the same as 4 pi over 3, except my x has to be positive and my y has to be negative. Okay, 7 pi over 4 is the same as 5 pi over 4, except x is positive, y is negative. And 11 pi over 6 is the same as 7 pi over 6. So square root of 2, no, I'm sorry, square root of 3 over 2 and negative 1/2. Okay? And then there's my 2 pi. All right, guys, you're going to need this to do the assignments. You're going to keep this near you. You're going to write this near you or keep your book, but you're going to be flipping pages constantly. So I would keep all three, okay? So if you don't have index cards or white paper, just improvise and do what I did, okay? All right, guys, let's move on.